Welcome, everyone. It's Matt along with Goo, and today we're going to talk about Gold Week, which is actually really just Gyldygga and 3A units. It's Gyldygga with your time.
I love gold!
Is our newest A unit in the summon pool worth getting, or more importantly, the 2A units that are also coming along for the short event worth farming for. Stay tuned and figure out how much gold that we like. All right, our first unit here is Gyldygga.
Now I ain't saying she a gold digger.
More importantly, raises inorganic physical potency at 20%. Not the greatest overall leadership, but actually, inorganic to me is one of the better ones overall. But it has started to fallen off just a little bit as more of the units of the dragons have taken over what used to be an inorganic meta along with boss meta. And now I believe it's dragons with boss meta as what's currently involved. The first unit, Gear Shift, raises the user's agility and move for 3 turns. This is a great skill. I just wish the other skills were as awesome as this one. Golden Breath is a very decent skill where it inflicts stun and inflicts great damage to all enemies at 60%. It's a great skill. It's breath. You don't need to use his great attack skill for it, but his last skill, which is what's going to be raised, Mad Sunder. It's a pretty weak skill. 55 random percent physical damage 6 times. Very randomly, with the 20% chance to lower defense. The lower defense is decent, but honestly, a little disappointed in that. I wish it was the opposite, as I personally think that would be a little bit better. Gyldygga's first awakening skill is too specific to be really worthwhile to chase. Odd turns until 10, attack and agility for 3 turns to inorganics and 4 turns to self. So for him, you could really get a good attack and agility, especially with his stats. His stats are pretty good across the board. And with it, you can see it will buff. It will buff for quite a while. And his agility will actually kind of get out of hand, and he can move pretty quickly. The only problem is, I think Golden Breath is his better attack out of the two, and the attack is not really being useful. With agility and defense, I think this unit would be a very interesting combination where you might actually see very dangerous defense, basically making him harder and harder to kill. But without that, I just don't really see it. Sizz resistance, crack resistance are 2 and 4. The third one is the really interesting skill with them. It can be powerful, but it's just too low. 20% chance to activate a physical ability or regular attack a second time. And so basically allows him to attack twice. Imagine with the Golden Breath twice or Mad Sunder twice. That is where his power could really shine. But at 1 in 5 attempts, it will trigger. It is very RNG. Now, in a lot of games where you're doing defense with the computer, RNG can be a very powerful ally for you, just because of the fact that a very powerful attack seems to happen more often when the computer's controlling your units than not. I know that's probably just bad juju, luck, etc. on my part. But that's where Gyldygga, I think, really, really shines, is in the defense RNG aspect with stuns, accidentally getting 2 sets of stuns, etc. And the fifth one increases stun rate by 10%. And all in all, that is also really, really powerful to 70%. His stats, just looking at the stats here, agility, defense, attack, and HP are all high. The attack is a little wasted, though, because most likely you're going to be bringing him in for his stun breath. Breath doesn't need the attack. Once again, just to remind everyone, breath is based on level. But stun is powerful because you can't avoid breath. So if you are weak to stun, it's a guaranteed stun with the breath. So there is some goodness to this unit overall. Movement is 3, agility's 446, attack is 550. But remember, within himself, if you have the +1, he can increase his attack and agility. Actually, it gets increased twice over on turns 3 through 12. And that increase really drives him forward. So if you're fighting against him, just be wary that after turn, basically you have really 2 turns to destroy him. And it's best to try to defeat him turn 1. And that's really, really hard to do. And that's why I like him on defenses overall. His preferred weapon, honestly, is not his weapon. You're going to want to use probably the full attack power if you're going to be using his full attack. If you're going to be using his breath weapon, then you are going to be using his breath weapon. The breath weapon itself the normal weapon itself is an A unit that you can farm fairly easily in the event. I don't have it in here. As I say, if you are really going to be using him on defense, Flail of Destruction is what you're looking for with attack power and some HP. And because most likely the computer is going to be using his Mad Sunder, which is very, very powerful, especially as it pumps up overall. If you're going to be using him, though, in attack, I instead really, really suggest that you go with his normal attack, which is still pretty powerful overall unit here. The skill's called the Gold Axe. Once again, it's just like the normal one. If you're going to go for his axe, focus everything on Golden Breath. That is 100% what you need for his attack. That's what you're going to be using for. But as I say, most of the time you're going to be fighting him in arena defense or GV or guild defense, and then I would have Flail of Destruction because the computer will most likely be using his last attack. Preferred learned skills, Blunt is probably a good one if you want to do buff as well, to buff himself moving around. But his first skill is going to be Gear Shift, so that's why with the agility and move on top of it, remember, odd turn plus Gear Shift, that's a double agility boost, and then turn 3 with that gets a triple agility boost, and just allows him to absolutely go bonkers all over the field. So Blunt is there, and honestly, if you don't give him a skill, it's not really worth it. His kit is good. It just could have been so much better. His pros is very interesting. As I say, the non-elemental attacks with stun and defense down is very good. His intrinsic ability gives a 20% chance for stun if attacked by spells or breath. So remember, if you are fighting against him, you need to go physical against him. Otherwise, you have a 1 in 5 chance to be stunned. Once again, this guy is RNG based. And that is really, really annoying when you're going against arena, and especially Guild Wars. RNG teams can be really easy to go against or really, really tough, especially when they're built well. Very high stats, and as I say, agility and movement that could be buffed for 3 turns. And then you've got the agility and attack for his First Awakening. And that also helps other organic units and will bring them into the meta. So you're looking at your killing machines as well. Gyldygga, personally, is very important for PvE ice physical, just because of the fact that you're probably going to be bringing that in. But it costs 3 awakenings, which is a little too much for this unit. The best way to do damage is with the and actually, sorry, for it's one awakening, and even so, I'm not sure he's that great for it. But because he's an organic, you can probably get his the souls for him. And I think he's more important than any of the killing machines right now. His best way to do damage is that 3rd awakening, and once again, as I say, he's very RNG based. In PvE, his only real niche is to boost up your inorganics, which is great for physical ice damage, especially since that's still kind of lacking other than 1 or 2 units that came out, and they weren't super strong, so you might not have them. So while I pull, no. Am I going to do the paid pull? Yes. Am I going to do the tickets? Yes, that we're given. Otherwise, that's it. If I get him, fine. But really, to get him to be really dangerous, he requires a lot of awakenings. Personally, I think really he needs to have that 3rd awakening to really unlock his power. That's just too expensive for him. If you do get him, I do highly suggest that you awaken him once with the shards, if you have the shards, just because then your inorganic team will be really well. That's the only thing that I hate to say, no, easy skip, don't even bother. I'm hoping RNG blesses me. I get 1 of him, use the shards to upgrade him, even at a later date when I do need him. That would be enough. That's good. But don't go any farther. Unless if you absolutely love your inorganic family, or maybe you have a crazy idea. And if you do, let me know down in the comments. I love it. I generally have the crazy ideas for Guild Wars, but let me know.
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back, baby back ribs.
And the A unit that you can summon for is Golden Goliath. This is actually a really good A unit. I love him. His HP attack are great. Actually, his HP is fantastic. His defense is scary good. And his agility is actually not bad for considering how bulky this unit is. Goliath himself is actually as bulky as most of the S units in the game, and even bulkier than I would say the average S unit. Considering he's got 10 less levels to go with, that's a pretty big boost. And he hits all of the right notes for that. He's got some decent range attacks that do some interesting damage, can lower agility with the slow stomp, has a light strike that'll just do some physical damage, and earthly rage, which deals 250% physical damage to all enemies and has a chance for bind. The earthly rage is actually not all that expensive either. I would suggest an attack if possible, just for him. An element, any element that you're really looking for. And bang or zap might not be a bad one. Those two, I think, might actually be the top ones right now in the meta. Later on, we'll start looking at other units as well. But you kind of want to know, this is going to be a great. I have 35 weight left in my arena. I don't want to bring in a healer because they're a little too squishy. Like my Clary is just not strong enough. My heal horse is just not strong enough right now. So, the Golden Goliath could be a pretty good throw-in unit for an A unit for arena. Also for PvE, it can take some hits. So, it's a pretty cheap with that 35. It is a really good A unit. Not the best A unit in the game, but it is still a very good A unit. And his leadership effect raises demon defense. It's okay.
This gold cold in them da hills.
Well, back with another one, eh?
The farmable, and it's 15%. The farmable units for Festival Eve, the Gold Lion is by far the better one. Its offense is its defense. And what do I mean? Basically, it is a nasty PvP unit, but it will die after it attacks, just because of the fact that most likely you're going to get it to Fifth Awakening. Fifth Awakening greatly increases the damage dealt to you and to enemies for the first 2 turns. For the Gold Lion, basically, its big thing is that it's either going to do major zap martial damage to all enemies with the Golden Howl, which is great for kind of the meta right now. A lot of the units are weak to bang and zap. Or the other meta in the game that I see is dragons. And Dragon Slash deals 270% physical damage to dragons with 516 attack. Because this unit's farmable, I do suggest the Fifth Awakening to greatly increase damage dealt. The only problem with this unit is this unit will not get you the perfect scores in Arena, but I do highly suggest it for the live PvP that we will be using, just because a lot of the players are going to be bringing in dragons, and your Gold Lion is going to be your counter to dragons. Your goal is to just win in the live PvP. It doesn't have to be pretty, it doesn't have to be perfect. Gold Lion will destroy dragons and will cause a lot of fear because it should move before the dragons will move on a lot of teams. Its leadership effect is and the First Awakening will also increase its martial potency and recovery. So all in all, for me, and I do kind of like adding maybe a Zam. I also added Crackle and Whoosh as well. I'm not sure he really needs to be added onto it. But as of right now, I like having Ice just for, and Darkness as well. One of those two will allow it to attack other dragons on top of it. An attack skill might not be the right one. Sorry. If you can do a elemental martial skill, that's even better. Personally, I am a huge fan of the Gold Lion for the live PvP. It is very specific, but it has a lot of uses, especially if you want to get above gold and you're fighting a lot of dragons. That's a great way to counter it. I will go over the live PvP later this week. There are some. I really wish there would be some changes to it. I know they're not going to be, but I'll give positives and negatives. The one nice thing is with the Gold Lion, even if you're not fighting against dragons, you can take out a pretty strong enemy first turn. It even really hurt whales with the Gold Lion, and it is a free-to-play unit that you can get to 5 hearts if you focus on it. If you don't like, the reason why I highly suggest the Fifth Awakening with the Gold Lion is that even if you have 4 hearts, you will have about 800 hit points and 250 defense. That's just not enough HP. Even if you give it like a lollipop and you're lucky, and by golly, you have 180 HP with that, that's still not enough to go for it. So why don't you just go for broke and try to destroy the daylights out of it? I think that's the best way to go. It is only 2 turns, and if you time it right and attack on turn 2, you get that full attack, and then its limited defense comes back, and maybe it survives an attack. But if you could take out its strongest dragon or something that will really hurt the rest of your team, it's like taking a rook out and taking a queen with you. Yes, the rook is a pretty useful piece, but if you could destroy the queen, it gives you a very serious advantage. And for a lot of people who play Arena, they're not used to that type of thinking right now. And it's a great way to surprise and kind of do a shock and awe strategy, even if you're not the strongest player in the game. The last one is the Golden Globe. First one's defense, something that Chris Rock could have used at the Golden Globes.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Ha 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 ha. But more importantly, it reduces the damage for 50% for the Golden Globe for a turn. It's useful for basically saying, hey, look, I can't attack you right now, so I'll increase my defense. Its stats are pretty good, much better than the Golden Lion, but not nearly as good as the Golden Goliath. It's somewhere in between, but reducing damage by 50% is a pretty big thing. And as I say, it's something that will go there as well. Second attack, Golden Spike, deals 65% physical damage to one enemy 3 times and can generate what's called 100 damage space. They might have a better name for it, but basically it does exactly what it says. Where it is attacked, it will put down a space that basically has like the lines, the barrier type space, and it's 100 damage. It doesn't do a great deal of damage, and it can be kind of annoying, especially if you notice that like a choke point, etc. You can use it to your advantage, but it's not really super useful in general. And the last one is the Spiked Roller. 235% physical damage to all enemies in the line. Moves up to 4 squares. So basically he will roll right through and generate the 100 damage spaces in all 3 of those spots. As if he can move there. If there's something that's blocking from moving, it will only generate the 100 spots where it theoretically could be moving. Actually a pretty decent skill. The 100 damage spaces, if used correctly, could be good for you, but it could also hurt you if you don't use it correctly. So it's a double-edged sword because it could generate damage both to you and the opponent. The First Awakening gives us movement plus to 3. Third Awakening has a 40% chance to counter with Golden Spike as long as it's within range. So remember, if the unit attacks, it can no longer move. And that counter can be annoying as it will do 100 damage. The Fifth Awakening will attack with the Golden Spike if within range from an ally attacking. So it's another free attack if it's within range. This is a pretty good unit to also Fifth Awaken. But personally, especially for free-to-play players, I like Gold Lion better. That's just the way that I play. I prefer more of the shock and awe, even if I don't quite have the units, especially if they see more of the free-to-play, they might go on the attack, and then you can kind of counter it with that. I hope you guys enjoy. You like some of my gold jokes here as well. More importantly, I hope everyone stays safe, and it has a very, very lucky draw if you do go for Gyldygga. Have a good one there, everybody.